So I thought this video would be very appropriate because fall is coming and a lot of photographers are going to be doing family sessions. I wanted to make a video that could be very helpful if you wanted to get into shooting families if you don't do it already. This video is geared more towards somebody that's either a professional or they're leaning towards doing this as either a part-time or a full-time career. If you're doing it more like a hobby or you're doing it just for your own family or anything like that, some of the lenses that I'm going to mention are probably going to seem too expensive for your uses. But if you're doing this as something that you plan on doing either for a living or just as a side job, then hopefully this video can help you out. I'm going to give you 3 different options of what I would recommend. The first one being the Tamron 35-150. If you guys follow this channel, you know that I preach about this lens left, right, and center. So I'm not gonna go deep into it. If you wanna check out some of the other videos, you can see them on our channel. But the reason that I really like it is because of its versatility. Obviously going from 35 to 150 and going from f2 to 2.8 as you zoom in, it's a great versatile lens. It does come in at about $1,700, $1,800, so it's not the cheapest option. That is the most expensive option, but it's also the one that you're probably gonna get the most mileage out of it. When it comes to family sessions, I always say start with your lens as zoomed in as possible if you have the space for it, specifically if you're shooting outdoors. So I would start at 150 so you can get that really nice compression, so you can get that blur in the background, and also so people look more proportionate. For example, I'm shooting this with the Osmo Pocket 3 and the lens on this is a 20mm lens. It's not what I would choose to do family sessions with. It's not what I would choose to do a portrait session with. My shoulders are way bigger than what this camera is making you guys believe. And because you're shooting with a 20mm lens, everything just seems a little bit more distorted. You don't look as flattering with a wider lens. If you start at 150, everyone is gonna look a lot better than what even they think, more than likely. Start with the 150. If you're doing walking shots, one thing that I always recommend is zoom out as they're walking towards you, so it gives you plenty of opportunities to capture more frames. So if I'm starting at 150 and then I say, okay guys, go ahead and walk, look at each other, smiling, and as you're seeing in these photos, I'm zooming out as they're walking towards me, so that way they're getting a lot of opportunities, because people do, they'll make faces, or you catch them in between, or they blink. So you have to have a lot of usable frames in that entire session, especially with kids, because kids are only gonna last a certain amount of time before they say, okay, we are done, we gave you what you bribed us for, whether it's candy or a toy or whatever, and then eventually they're just gonna say, okay, we're done. So you have to be quick, and by being able to get more frames, it allows you to have more options when you're going through them later on. The next option that I would recommend is, again, Tamron. Tamron, I have a working relationship with them, but they don't tell me what to say. They just, tell me to test things out, and I relay the information to you guys. This lens, honestly, I think is the winner. It is the Tamron 70-180. This is the G2, and with this one, the reason I like it is because the size. So even compared to my favorite lens, the 35-150, the 70-180 is significantly smaller and significantly less girthy. So obviously it's gonna be a lot lighter than carrying this thing around. So if you're focusing just on doing family sessions, you're probably better off with this one, because that one, again, is twice as expensive. This one's about $1,000 to $1,300, depending on when you're buying it, if it's on sale or anything like that. And this one, will really give you a lot of mileage. Not only that, this lens, as I've posted in another video, the focusing distance on it is another selling point, because if you buy this lens, you don't necessarily need to buy a macro, in my opinion, because the focusing distance on it is so stinking good. You can use this as your macro lens. I actually don't have a macro lens anymore because this is what I use. So 70-180, really, really good. It's very light. It has vibration compensation, so your shots will be nice and steady. I mean, you should be shooting at a higher shutter speed anyway, especially if kids are moving or anything like that. But again, start at 180, zoom out as they're walking towards you, gives you plenty of opportunities to do as much as you need. And again, this lens, you can get it for about $1,000. And listen, if you're doing this as a job, if you're doing this as a side job even, if you buy this for, let's say, $1,000 and you book, let's say, tiny girl, let's say you book 4 or 5 family sessions, even if you're booking them at $200 or $300 a pop, it's gonna be paying for itself very, very quickly. If you're charging, let's say, $500 or $600 per session, this thing pays for itself within 2 sessions, and then you're making profit after that. Because again, guys, I'm talking more if you're treating this more like a business and not just a hobby. So I'm gonna give you guys some practical advice. I can just say, yeah, go get the 35-150, call it a day. I'm not a silly goose. I understand that, there are budgets and there are things that you need to stick to. Going with that, the third option that I recommend, and I don't have one because I don't really I don't really like it at this point with these options being out there, but the 70 to 200. So if you can go out there and find a 70 to 200 f4 or a 70 to 200 f2.8, either one of those options are gonna be wonderful. Don't listen to the dummies out there who go, I have to get a 2.8 lens. If you're shooting outdoors and you're shooting in the afternoon and you're shooting family sessions, an f4 lens is gonna be perfect. It's gonna be great for you. It's gonna be cheaper also, and it's gonna be lighter. The only people that are really gonna notice the difference between 2.8 and f4 are gonna be photographers, but that's not who you're selling to. That's not who's buying what you're selling. So, never mind the naysayers. If you go out there and you find a 70 to 200 f4 that works for your system and you find it for 600 bucks, go for it, because that thing will make you a good living for some time. Now, out of everything, I would say my favorite lens is a 35 to 150 because of what I do. I don't only shoot family sessions. We shoot weddings, we shoot engagements, we shoot headshots, we shoot, all types of things, environmental portraits, things like that. So I need that versatility. But if you're doing strictly families, or that's what you want to stick to for the most part, this lens right here, I would say is a clear winner. The 70 to 180, I think, is a wonderful piece of equipment that they came out with. It's a good price. It's sharp as heck. It really never has any issues with focusing. So yeah, and it even has this little guy right here, a USB-C, to customize these buttons and do all sorts of stuff. I don't ever do it, to be quite honest, but I know that you can as a Tamron utility, and you can get in there and play around with it if you'd like. But a question you guys might have, hey, can I shoot a family session with a 50 millimeter or an 85 millimeter, a fixed lens? The answer is yes. You can shoot anything with anything, really, but my thing is what's gonna make your job the easiest. If you're shooting with a 50 and you have kids running, there's only so much of the frame that you're gonna be able to get. You're also not gonna get as much compression. So if I have a few $100s to spend, I would rather spend it on something that gives me a little bit more versatility than something that's fixed. I always say when it comes to primes, these right here, these zoom lenses, these are a must-have. So this is what you need to have. Primes are something that you may want to have, but start with your musts and then move on to your wants once things are rolling. In any case, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I tried to make these videos, I think you guys can tell, more educational and more practical than gear review. I'm not a geeky, techie person. I'm gonna get some of the things wrong, but when it comes to real world situations, at least on that, I think most of the time I get it, pretty much on point. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything else that you guys would like for me to record and post, please leave a comment down below, and thank you guys for watching until the end. Please subscribe if you made it all the way to the end and you enjoyed our content, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.